Hello everybody watching this video. My name is Nici Macdonald. I am the HOD of Certification and Standards at the FBI, and I am also responsible for consumer education at the FBI. With me I have Thulisile Nkomo. She is one of our certified financial planners that is registered with the Financial Planning Institute. Welcome, Thuli.
Thank you, Nici, for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So today we are here to discuss something that is of value to our consumers, and that is how to deal with all the online advice that is available on social media out there that is not necessarily always the truth and what we as financial planners and financial advisors would recommend to our clients. So let's start, Thulisile, by looking at what is the influence of these, what they call them FinFluencers, or social media financial gurus that all of a sudden pop up on TikTok and all of these places. How does it influence our younger generations and the people that actually look at it?
I think if we look at where we come from in terms of the financial planning industry, currently we have social media, which is easily accessible to young people. As a result, when they're looking for advice, they don't have to set up an appointment, but rather just go online and try to see if there's someone that you'll be able to assist them. How these people or the FinFluencers are influential to the younger investor is that some people come from a generation where finances is seen as taboo. As a result, these people, the FinFluencers, are able to educate people who were previously disadvantaged or did not know about finances. So they do have a role that they play because they bring that awareness to say, let's say if you want to invest in a unit trust, what options are there? So they provide that awareness, but it's what people do with the information that matters.
I think you've highlighted a very good point, and it's something that we've been looking at not just at FBI but across the financial sector, is the lack of financial awareness and financial education in a very big part of our community. There is no or very little financial literacy in the school curriculums, and in many cases you never get taught anything unless you learn it from somewhere else, like social media at this point. So I like the positive stance that you're taking on this, that it is actually it's part of the education. But how do these young investors, how are they supposed to then distinguish between good advice and bad advice, because there's lots of that out there as well?
I think it's very important to just go back. If you watch any of TikTok or Instagram, you'll see they say we're not a profession, we're not advisors, hence don't see this as financial advice. So they're more of people that provide information to the community. But that being said, if I'm a young investor and looking at that video and think it's advice that is relevant to me, the most important thing that a person should do is to do their own due diligence. So you see that maybe they say, oh, invest in this share, it's great. The most important thing, your responsibility is to go back and do your own due diligence. And also keep in mind that some FinFluencers are also incentivized, meaning that they might be promoting a certain brand. As a result, they will be biased towards that because they'll be making money out of it. So I think the information will be out there, but as a young investor, it is your responsibility to go back and make sure that the information is accurate and relevant to you. Because if you don't do that, you find yourself following advice that is not relevant to you, and that can be very dangerous and detrimental to the person.
Absolutely. I think my next question would then be, where do they access good advice? And how does a financial advisor or financial planner then play a role in this due diligence process? And how do they access it? What advice can you give our young investors there?
So the FinFluencers, they create the awareness But the way that you can use the information in a positive light is to say, so you'd watch a video and you see that it's something that interests you. Then from there, it would be your responsibility to go to a financial advisor and say, how does this information fit into my personal financial goal? Because you cannot replace the role of a financial advisor, because our job is to custom make a solution for a specific client. Just because an influencer says invest in equities, because they'll provide you with long-term capital growth. So let's say, for instance, you're a young investor who wants to put away money for short-term or for a trip. You put your money in equities, and then 12 months down the line, the market fluctuates, and then the value of your investment is down, which means now you've got less than what you've put in. So it's very, very important that you take that information, you bring it home to the financial advisor who will help you with your own personal goals, because our role is to look at holistic financial planning to make sure that we've covered all the bases. Because if you look at financial planning, it includes a whole number of aspects: your risk planning, your cash management, your investment planning, your tax, your retirement, so things that you might have not looked at. So our responsibility is to make sure that you are ticking all the boxes, and we take your tax bracket or your tax into account. And also, there's different investment vehicles which we would help and direct you to say, if this is what you're trying to achieve, this is where you should go. So the FinFluencers, they create the awareness, but we help implement the solution that is suitable for that person, and not just a generic solution. So if people are looking for instant gratification, that's where they would go. But if they want a solution that is custom made, they need to come to financial planners who will help them put together a solution that is custom made for them.
Yes, I think I can guide everybody then also, if you don't know where to find a financial advisor or financial planner, go to www.fpimymoney123. It is our consumer education website, and you can find a list of registered financial advisors who are professionals across the entire country on there, and we can confirm that they are all held by a very strict code of ethics, so you can trust our advisors. Then another question to Thulisile, and this is an interesting one. In Australia, the Australian Securities and Investment Commission last year started regulating FinFluencers. So they are telling them that you have to register with this regulator, and you have to pay a nominal fee, and then they take care of some training, if I'm correct. But it boils down to the fact that they are now trying to regulate these FinFluencers. Do you think it's something the FSCA should consider?
I don't think it's a bad idea, because in order for a person to give advice, they need to be a representative and be registered with the FSCA. And there are strict regulations in terms of what is required to become a representative or a financial planner. You need to do training on investment products. You need to do your class of business. So that helps you to be competent in the advice that you give. So I would recommend that FinFluencers be regulated, so that they are actually doing their research, and then the information that is going out is just not to attract views, but rather to just educate. So I think that would help in terms of making sure that they are held accountable, because a lot of influencers are currently not held accountable. So if you go on YouTube or TikTok, you look at a video and you take advice from that, you can't go back and say, oh, I took this advice and it's not working. So if they are regulated, they will make sure that the content that goes out there is accurate, and they will also be held accountable for the role that they play, because unfortunately sometimes such situations where someone takes the advice and the advice is not custom made for that person, and then they lose out, that would actually be negative to that person. So I would recommend that definitely they be regulated, just so that the information that goes out there is accurate and they are professional in that service.
I think you touched on a very important point there. if you make use of a regulated financial advisor or planner and something goes wrong, you have got a bit of restitution. So you've got a recourse. The FICE Ombud is there, there's other ombuds available. You can then hold that person accountable for the advice they give you, but not a FinFluencer who's telling you that crypto is the next best thing on TikTok. So that is very important, and I agree with you. However, in South Africa, I don't quite know how it can be regulated,
Yes.
but it's maybe something to look at, and look at the Australian case study and see how that works out. Now, I just wanted to ask you one last thing. What can we as financial advisors and financial planners do to change the social media FinFluencer landscape? Is it not maybe worth, and I know not everybody will do this, but our younger financial planners and advisors, it's not maybe worth going on to TikTok, going on to YouTube and all these places in the social media to make sure that the financial planning industry has got a footprint to guide people in the right direction?
I don't think that is a bad idea, because the younger generation relate more to people who like the age, and so I don't think that would be a bad idea, because if you create a TikTok account, that's also good marketing for you, because you can actually get clients. So I think that in order to attract the young people, the younger financial advisors should be going online and adapting and being flexible, because this is a new norm. Finfluencers or people look into Finfluencers for advice, but if you're a financial advisor who's already there and say, I actually provide advice, here's my number, please call me. So that can actually be another way to market the investors that they're looking to attract.
And to ensure that the correct information is out there. Thank you very much, Thulisile. I think this is very valuable, and everybody in South Africa can benefit from knowing this information.
Thank you, Nici, for having me.
It's a pleasure.